Within all the genres and disciplines that I work, I take a techno set the most seriously. And if you live it and breathe it, then you don't need to pay to get in, I don't think. My next gig is my kids' school disco.
Can you get me on the guest list? There's this sort of like predominant discourse around dance music or rave culture, a narrative, I would say, that like, you know, it's healing. Like we go to these places and it's like church-like and you can heal a lot of trauma and express yourself, which is absolutely true, you know. But I think there's another element to it and also certain sides of the music where I feel like people go to kind of have a space for that pain or like hear pain outside of themselves that maybe echoes their own. Like I also feel like there's a lot of pain in some of this music.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I feel like, you know, having literally just came from playing Berghain like 4 hours ago, within all the genres and disciplines that I work, I take a techno set the most seriously for those reasons. You know, the dancers, people that are on that dance floor, are usually like there for a reason to kind of like forget or kind of, you know, especially in clubs like that, a lot of the time it's not just about having a good time, it's kind of, you know, they're locked in, they're there for a reason, and the DJs have to provide, you know, kind of a certain level of journey. So therefore, you know, there's not really any room for kind of mistakes, you know. I think within that, I owe it to them, I guess, to kind of, yeah, take them on a journey to help them. I'm speaking of this because I remember when I used to go out and party, I was definitely, you know, it was always hard to leave, you know. It's like, oh, fucking, I've got to go back to reality, you know. It was kind of like, peel me out of this club. So I'm sober and I don't drink or anything, so I see it from like a different perspective now. So when I go in there, I take it, you know, it's a real honor to be able to kind of do it and help people forget and kind of take them on a journey.
I've always thought there are kind of two ways that people approach DJing. One is sort of more of a community-oriented aspect, like people see themselves as facilitating an experience for others, and then there are maybe sort of more artist, ego-driven DJs who are like, they're making their art and they're sharing their art. You can do both. Everybody's on it. It's a spectrum, you know, there's no one or the other, but the description you just gave, you know, really places you, in my mind, in that sort of more community-driven aspect. That's such a beautiful, like, as a form of caretaking, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you know, those, however long the dancers sort of are in there, it's a really sensitive and special kind of like time. So and as a painter, you know, it's kind of, you know, I try and curate my sets like paintings. You know, I look at painting and techno as exactly the same thing. You know, the palettes that I would use in the solitude of my studio, trying to hit that state of flow. Just like as the hours pass by when I'm alone listening to music in the studio, it's an absolute direct reflection in the state of flow with like 500 people in front of you, kind of that connection. I see it as, you know, audio colours, you know, basically, and kind of, just trying to do the kind of journey thing and kind of be brave in parts, you know, within the set, and not be afraid to kind of maybe have like 3-minute sound pieces kind of thing where it just all sort of like calms down and then sort of build it back up again, and it's just in exactly the same way that I paint. I've always seen the two really similar.
Do you ever worry about pushing crowds too far and getting into, like, you know, do you see people leave the floor and think like, oh shit, okay, now I gotta put back on like a, you know, does that affect you, or you're just like, people will come and go?
That's a really good question. It's a lot of the, I think about that a lot. A lot of the time, because sometimes I'm like when I'm finishing a set, or even back in the day, like when I used to DJ in the like 90s, early 2000s, you know, my track would be finishing and the next DJ would come on and just beat match into that, and then it just kind of like, and then you're off and kind of, it's just like seamless. But today I let the DJ before me finish, and then I started, and you know, I had like a 5-minute intro, kind of like atmospheric piece, and of course, you know, it's like a palette cleanser, isn't it? It's, you know, the last artist has finished their piece, you know, and now it's a different painting, it's a different body of work. Obviously, you know, the two mirror each other sonically, but I'm not afraid of, you know, to kind of start again, to rebuild again. I think it's nice to kind of, yeah.
I actually want to talk to you about Nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's my favorite song on your album.
Yeah.
I keep repeating those verses. It just rips. That is my favorite track on I Trust Pain.
When I made that record, I came off like a bunch of like avant-garde, like ambient, like spoken word albums. But the one before I Trust Pain, I had Billy Wood. Do you know Billy Woods, the rapper? I had Billy Woods and More Mother on it. Two kind of like modern day like idols of mine, and afterwards I was like hearing Billy like rap on over my production. I thought, I'm not a rapper, but I'm definitely not a rapper. I can do spoken word. How far can I push my spoken word into that direction? Over drill kind of beats. So I linked up with my friend Rainey Miller, who assisted me on like half of the album.
I mean, it's actually even interesting, that album within the context of this huge explosion of all of these young British rappers. Like EsDeeKid.
Shout out EsDeeKid.
Shout out!
Yeah.
Oh my God, and also Fake Me. I mean, there's so many.
Yeah.
Like,
Wraith 9, all the beats on that, EsDeeKid.
Yeah.
Shout out Wraith. Yeah. And all those guys.
Yeah. I mean, how has it been to watch them blow up? Like,
my friend Noah posted LV sandals on EsDeeKid's record, LV sandals, and the first time I heard that, I was just like, fucking hell, that is really, really strong. You know when he's just, and then it just went quiet for a while, and I was kind of like, and I put it on a BBC mix that I did, and kind of various other stuff, and then 4 Raws came out, and then he dropped the record, and it still was quiet. I was like, am I like losing my kind of like what's good and do I not know what's fucking good anymore? Or, I used to like think that I had a decent, and then all of a sudden, the Timothy Chalamet all stuff happened, and it was, you just saw his listeners and everything go up, and then it kind of like happened, and then it looks like it's a thing, but it's good. It's good for the UK. It needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a different style of rap as well. I feel like but I've always felt that way about. I mean, now I'm venturing into. I'm like, wait, this is Hausverbot. I shouldn't be getting into British rap. I mean, but to reel it back, wait. I was gonna ask, because you said that you were DJing a little bit, like when you were a teenager, and then you sort of came back to it. So why did you quit?
In that honest kind of way that I will describe as I would get decks, get a really good record collection. It's time to move house. Life gets hectic when you're in your early 20s. Always the first thing to go was my decks. The first thing to sell the decks, sell all your production. Sell all your records. Then you could pay the rent and So it was just one of those situations, like, the one thing that I always had in my life that was worth something in my 20s, and was that. So it was always, whenever I was skinning, it was always the thing that I had to sell. So it's just like, and then I'd re-get them again and kind of, so it was, yeah, it just never kind of lasted.
Actually, kind of jumping on the back of this, you know, you've spoken about how influential rave culture was to you as a teenager and that you were going to a lot of free parties. And I feel like this kind of free, open movement, I mean, feels so foregone now as, you know, the price of entry at clubs has tripled and, you know, everything is just so expensive. Do you have any thoughts on how that will impact music and club culture at large?
But the first thing that comes to my mind with questions like that is, as an individual, you just need to get your hustle on and get on the guest list. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, period.
For anyone, you know, if you really want to be part of it, you've got to live it, and you've got to fucking be at the after parties and knowing that person, and kind of doing the extra curricular activities and hours, you know, on a Wednesday in the record, or just how online, reaching out to this person, reaching out to that person. And if you live it and breathe it, then you don't need to pay to get in, I don't think.
But it's true, you know, I think also people demonize the idea of like networking or like nepotism or...
What is it, 50% of it probably?
For
40%, 30, you know, it's kind of how many amazing painters and sculptors and photographers that I know that are just like ridiculously talented but can't look another person in the eye or have a conversation. I don't really like using the word hustle, but just you've got to be out there, aren't you?
Yeah. Reference one of my favorite paintings of yours, which is when your job becomes a hobby, get a new hobby.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, because you were an artist and you're like, I'm like, which of these was your hobby that became your job, or just what? Because I think of you as, I was thinking maybe he was an artist and DJing was his hobby and then he became a DJ, and that, you know, I was like, how does this relate to Richie?
Yeah, I mean that was a text-based piece that, like, over the kind of like lockdown period, there was no art supply stores. There was no art supply stores open, and I just had spray cans, so I started like making like text works. I thought the world was going to end, so I was just kind of like getting all these thoughts out. So I've got this like body of text work. That specific work, I guess, comes from I think as a workaholic, somebody that just like lives and breathes, is constantly, if it's not the techno world, you know, I'm always working on something. I think it was somebody, my therapist or someone said, you know, what else do you enjoy doing? I think they actually said the word, have you got a hobby or something? And I was just kind of like, I was just stuck. And at that point I realized, you know, that just I need another kind of like outlet, you know. And since then I've actually started fishing and boxing again. So yeah, but you know, it's when you love what you do, it's kind of, what else do you need? You know, it just feels very blessed, you know, to be able to do something that you would do for free, basically.
Yeah, you know, a lot of your work has like a dark edge to it, and you're exploring a lot of, you know, like the shadow self and kind of the underbelly of things. Is there anything about you that people would be surprised to know? Like something that you love to do that maybe seems very off-brand for your whole multimedia universe? Maybe there's not. Maybe you...
I mean, I'm a dad to like a 3-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old. So, you know, I've watched K-pop Demon Hunters like a million times. You know, sort of Unicorn Academy. I don't know if you know all these things.
Oh, I do.
Do you know these? Yeah, Unicorn Academy. You know, it's yeah, that's my life within the house. You know, kind of.
So cute.
Yeah.
So you're gonna mix a little Unicorn Academy into Berkheim main floor.
Here you go. After this, my next gig is my kids' school disco.
Stop.
Yeah.
No way. What are you gonna play?
Well, K-pop, Demon Hunters,
Crazy Frog?
Miley Cyrus, kind of, you know, Justin Bieber.
What's your opening track for a school dance?
I have to like start with kind of like it's like Fireman Sam theme tune and kind of, you know, I don't know if you know if it's an English kind of thing, Frozen, because the lower year is like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds, so it's all kind of, you know, it's like I even play the snowman walking in the air and stuff, even if it's not Christmas. They love it. They absolutely they love it. So yeah, any of the kind of like Disney soundtracks, Moana.
Oh my God.
I've played the last 3. I'm like the school resident DJ. So my official next gig after this burg I'm on is but all my kids are at the same school, and I do both. Yeah, there's like a lower school and a high school and an upper school, and I do both slots.
Can you get me on the guest list?
Last track of the night is White Stripes, Seven Nation Army, and all the kids get on the stage behind me, and they're all sort of jumping. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. This is the #1 gig I want to go to. And that's it, actually. That's a perfect ending to one of our episodes.